Councillors, the time is now 6:30 and I'll declare the meeting open. I advise the public that this meeting is being webcast and members of the gallery may have their voice and image captured. By attending, you consent to being captured, recorded and webcast. Any statements made by individual persons in the course of this meeting and the statements of those individuals are not of council. You should refrain from making any defamatory remarks or making comments about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any statements made by individuals during the course of the meeting. In the event of an emergency or the fire alarm sounding, please remain calm and wait for the instructions from the General Manager and Council officers. If we need to evacuate the building, Council's emergency muster point during Council meetings is the lower car park. In the event of a medical emergency, please alert Council staff for assistance. Council acknowledges the Wanneroo peoples as the traditional custodians of this land we are meeting on today. We pay our respect to elders past, present and future, and I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. We also acknowledge the Awabakal people to the east and the Darkinjung people to the south and other Aboriginal peoples who now live within the Cessnock local government area. Now I'll move on to the council prayer where we have Pastor Rachel Main from Beyond Church. Have everyone stand for prayer.
Good evening, everyone. Let's pray. Lord, I come before you grateful as always that I get to live and work in this beautiful place. And tonight I'm grateful as well for every other person who contributes toward making this such a great place to live and work and raise our families. Tonight, as always, Lord, I pray that we would be able to work together towards unity because your word promises that where there is unity, you command a blessing. We'd love to live under that blessing, Lord. And lastly, tonight, I just pray for anybody in our community who is suffering illness or carrying heavy burdens. I just pray that they would experience your supernatural peace and that you would help inspire us to love and care for each other really well. I pray all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Main. Now we have a full house tonight, so there's no apologies. Would anyone like to table any leave of absences? Nothing to be tabled as yet, no leave of absences. We also have Councillor Madden who wants to join us via AV link. So could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Harrington. All in favour? It's unanimous. Councillor Madden, can you hear me? Just need to take you off mute.
Yeah, sorry. I can hear. Thanks.
No worries. We learnt that from last time. So, okay, good to see you. Any disclosures of interest? Oh, beg your pardon, sorry. Confirmation of the minutes held on the 16th of July. Could I have someone to move? Councillor Harrington, seconded Councillor Grine. All in favour? It's unanimous. Okay, disclosures of interest. Any disclosures? Councillor Pascoe.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. I need to declare a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict in relation to report number BN 11/2025. It's the proposal to remove the shared zone on Charlton Street. The reason is because I own a business in the plaza adjacent to Charlton Street. I'm choosing to remain in the chamber to participate as the temporary foot traffic changes don't affect me directly and they won't affect my ability to vote objectively.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pascoe. Councillor Hawkins.
Mr Mayor, report WI8 2025 request for sponsorship and fee waiving for the Australian Postie Bike Grand Prix. I declare a non-pecuniary interest less than significant conflict for a reason that an Australian Postie Bike Grand Prix committee member previously stood on the same council ticket as me. I choose to remain in the chamber and participate in discussion and voting on this conflict has not influenced me in carrying out my public duty because this conflict does not influence my long-standing support for this community event. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Now, any petitions? Oh, beg your pardon, sorry, Councillor Madden.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Watton. Yeah, conflict of interest for CCC 50-2025 carry forwards and revotes as the Vice President of Cessnock Hockey Club, which has been prepared for 45K. I'll remain online. It won't affect any of my voting for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Madden. Councillor Jode.
I just got a quick question. I'm just not sure if the family member is still a part of the Postie Bikes. So now that you've brought that up, that's making me think. Should I declare something just in case?
In my mind, when in doubt, just declare. So
Yeah,
if you...
okay. Rightio. So non-pecuniary, less than significant, just because I'm not sure if a family member might be still on the committee. I'll stay in the chamber.
So you stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another quick question. If that family member is still on there, I just want to point out Sue might have to put one. Yeah.
Okay. So that was just to clarify, that's all the disclosures for tonight, Councillor Jode? Yep. No, for yourself? Yep. Okay, Councillor Dixon?
Yeah, so I'd also like to declare what can't remember what the wording was now. Was it non-pecuniary? Yeah, less than significant. Yeah, due to the candidate that ran with me in the council election is same person as Councillor Jode is speaking about. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're on this line, so I will also declare they, non-pecuniary, less than significant interest, as, yes, ran on the same ticket, someone that works with the Australian Postie Bike Grand Prix. I'll choose to stay and vote. No other disclosures? Okay. Moving on to petitions. I haven't seen any petitions tabled, no petitions. Okay, there's no speakers tonight. Now, Englobo, I'll have Councillor Dixon speak to this. Just before we go, I think we've got one that's been pulled, which is the Australian Postie Bike, that's up. Okay, so Councillor Dixon.
Having read and considered the reports in the agenda related to items CC 52/2025, CC 53/2025, Council adopt the recommendations as printed in the business papers for those items. Thank you.
Okay, have someone to second. Councillor Pascoe. No debate. All in favour? It's unanimous. Okay, now moving on to mayoral minutes. There's a couple tonight, and both are intertwined with the messaging behind it. So, firstly, Amendment 7/2025, the subject being digital inclusion and mobile coverage black spots in the Cessnock LGA. So, I'd like to move the recommendation as written. And I did have a slight amendment, just so councillors are aware, that I'll get to it, but the federal member of Hunter be added into all correspondence. So I'll read from what's been updated. So that council writes to the Federal Minister for Communications, the New South Wales Minister of Customer Service and Digital Government, the federal member for Hunter, and relevant telecommunications providers, outlining the urgent need to address mobile coverage black spots in our LGA, such as Buckety and surrounding communities. Point 2, that council request inclusion of Cessnock LGA in future rounds of the mobile black spot program and any relevant funding initiatives. And point 3, that council advocate for a coordinated approach to mobile service delivery in regional New South Wales that prioritises public safety and economic participation. So reading from the report and the summary that I provide, or rationale, the Cessnock LGA is a rapidly growing LGA and continues to face challenges in the area of digital inclusion, particularly in mobile phone service coverage. Reliable mobile phone connectivity is no longer a luxury. It is an essential service for safety, commerce, education, and community wellbeing. You might as well add it to the Maslow hierarchy of needs. It's that important these days. Several communities in our region continue to experience poor or non-existent mobile phone reception, The most pressing of these is the Buckety area and surrounds, which currently have no mobile phone coverage, and had an excellent presentation with council staff of all the safety works and mitigation that is going on out there. But the fact is, still remains, if you crash out Buckety, and it's a tourist hotspot for bike riders, if you've got no mobile phone, which they don't, you're in trouble. So that's one area in particular, not limited to. This is not only a barrier to communication and economic participation, but it also poses a significant public safety risk in the event of emergencies, bushfires or accidents. With population growth and an increase in visitors to our region, the lack of coverage is becoming increasingly dangerous. The Cessnock LGA, like many regional communities, deserves access to the same level of connectivity as metropolitan areas, and more than likely not want to rely on Starlink. The presence of mobile phone coverage blackspots undermines our ability to attract and support residents, business and tourism. So I'd like to table that. It's a major need, as I've mentioned and outlined in my mayoral minute. Before I put it forward for a vote, is there any debate or conversation? Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. Just a question on the advocacy. I think it's a good position for council to take to advocate for issues such as this. In relation to the advocacy for mobile issues around our LGA, is this something that you've previously raised with, say, the federal, note that you've included the federal member now within the motion that we're moving to write to him as well. Is it something that's come up in your conversations with him in discussing issues around the LGA?
Thank you, Councillor Hill. So yes, I have discussed it with federal member and state member. The paper's probably published a little bit prematurely. I wanted to have a bit more of a dialogue with them, but I sent it through. I had a discussion with them. There was nothing coming back. There was neither from state or federal, which the next mayoral minute's more focused on state member, obviously, but just want to work in conjunction and help, pack that scrum and the need for our community. So, but yes, I did communicate with federal member.
Yeah, sorry, perhaps apologies on my part. I guess an additional question, having communicated this mayoral minute to that federal member, I guess has the issue of the mobile black spots come up in any of your discussions with the federal member over the past few months or something? Or has the federal member or his office been able to provide any information about what programs or what undertakings that the federal government's been doing within our LGA to improve mobile black spots? Or is this sort of right letter to the minister going to be the first time that query's been put to them at the federal level?
Yeah, in conjunction. So again, going back to the point that I have, raised it with the federal member, but this mainly comes about as a conversation that came up with Telstra. So Telstra regional liaison officer came through, spoke to me directly, outlined the concerns from his side of things. So it's been a conversation for quite some time. So I'm just looking to add council's weight behind the advocacy.
Okay, thank you.
Any further debate? I'll put it forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to mayoral minute MM8. So the subject is the New South Wales Government role in telecommunications and infrastructure funding. So again, I have a brief amendment for what was actually published. So I'll just read what's actually on the screen with the updated amendment. So the council write to both the New South Wales Minister for Customer Service and Digital Government and the state member for Cessnock, requesting that the New South Wales Government begin contributing to telecommunications infrastructure funding in line with other states and territories in Australia. Add that last bit. That council seek the support, dot point 2, that council seek the support of the Hunter Joint Organisation to lobby collectively for this policy change. And dot point 3, that council requests that the New South Wales Government prioritise high-risk, no-coverage areas such as Buckety in any future mobile coverage funding programs. So again, to read to this report, so telecommunications infrastructure, obviously as a linked theme with these two mayoral minutes, in regional Australia is typically delivered through a partnership model involving all three levels of government alongside the telecommunications industry. In most states and territories, state governments contribute funding to ensure regional and remote communities are connected. However, New South Wales appears to be an outlier in this space, with the majority of infrastructure funding for regional mobile coverage improvements coming solely from the federal government and telecommunications companies. This leaves communities like ours disadvantaged compared to their interstate counterparts, or our interstate counterparts, where state governments contribute their fair share. The absence of New South Wales government funding in line with other jurisdictions in creating inequity in service delivery and limiting the capacity to address mobile coverage black spots. This situation is particularly concerning for high-risk and growing communities in our LGA, such as Bucketine Surrounds and Pecolbin, if you want to mention a few more, which have no mobile phone reception. The responsibility to ensure safe, reliable and accessible telecommunication services should be shared across all levels of government, and the current funding model in New South Wales, it leaves many risks that many regional areas behind in the area of digital inclusion. So I did some research on this, and it's actually quite fascinating that other states and territories do work hand in hand with state and federal government to roll out with a telecommunications provider, and it's actually more effective and efficient in those states and territories. And going back to my point before, telecommunications and mobile coverage it's no longer a want, it's an actual need. So in line with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need our community to be connected. We need our students to be able to get online and study. We need, these black spots actually remedied with proper communication and capabilities. So it's something that is New South Wales, it's just not done, but it is done other way, and it is proven to be successful. So I'd like to put that forward and, yep. Sorry.
I just suggest that you add in a .4 that this also be raised as a advocacy motion for the LG New South Wales conference.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Director. That's a good amendment there. So I'd actually like to put a .4 in there. I'll definitely accept that amendment to raise this as a motion.
For submission to the LG New South Wales annual conference.
Yep, for submission to the New South Wales Local Government New South Wales Conference.
That's right.
That's a good amendment. For submission to the LG NSW Conference.
Annual conference.
Okay. That's a good amendment. Councillor Hawkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, do you need council endorsement to raise these issues? Like, do we need to endorse this as a mayoral minute to go to the Hunter JO or even the state ministers? Can't you just write to them as the mayor?
Yeah, good question. What I've learned is I've found, particularly with the Hunter Transport Plan just recently, that having the backing of council as well as any submissions actually adds a good amount of weight, because being the representatives of the community, we're speaking on behalf of the community, and it adds a lot of weight. That's what I found in previous correspondence working with ministers and JOs. Definitely communicate in every other way, shape or form as well, which we will. But I think having all councillors on board from all wards definitely holds weight. It's not just me running gung-ho.
Oh, look, I certainly think everybody here will support these. They're good things to advocate for. I'm just wondering, when you were talking to the state member, is this something that came out of the regular meetings that you have with him? Has he said, get me a council resolution and I'll take it? Or is it something even he can action quicker? I'm just trying to speed up the process. Do we have to get to a meeting before we can advocate for these sorts of
not
upgrades?
Yeah, no, a good question, Councillor Hawkins, and I think going back to my point where it actually adds value and adds weight. So while the advocacy is in motion, so for example, meeting with Telstra, the regional liaison officer just recently, this was actually brought about. I learnt quite a bit during those meetings, and he raised the fact that New South Wales Government has no funding, and so I have liaised with State Member Clayton Barr about this particular issue, and again, it comes down to weight. And, endorsement. So it's not the solely be all and end all. It's adding weight to the argument.
Yeah, and I guess the addition of we write to the state member, I think, sort of clarifies it. I was just wondering if this is your first port of call is a mayoral minute, and then you'll take it from there, or if there's other things that have happened to culminate to this point.
Yeah, I guess to that point, there are other things that have culminated to get to this point, but I guess additionally there too, point 2 and 4 do need resolution of council, even though it is a late motion as well.
Point 4 definitely.
Yeah. So
could I? Point 4 can be a mayoral minute. Does it not need to be? It can be. Yeah.
So it's albeit late, but mind you, just to speak to that just briefly, the meeting I had with Telstra was last week or the week before, so it's fairly recent.
I guess the question is, will we be in time to get it to the NSW conference?
Late submission, but we didn't think so.
We'll be in time for a late submission?
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to support this one, obviously, but just on point one and following on from what we've just heard from Councillor Hawkins and yourself there, adding the weight of writing it to the statement of Cessnock is great. But is there a reason we're opting not to write to the state member for Upper Hunter and Maitland, given that our LGA covers both those areas as well?
It's a good point. I'll take that amendment to add in there. So, yeah, we need to keep the whole LGA across. So we can add that into the point one. Yeah, state members for Cessnock and Upper Hunter. Sorry, Maitland. Maitland, yeah. Okay, thank you. Councillor Jerd.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. This might be a question for the General Manager. Can I ask, last term on council, did we not have Merrill minutes to write to federal members for various reasons, like quite often? Because I remember a few. That was one for the homeless, where we wrote to ministers and members of the public, like Parliament, about domestic violence, homelessness. There was a few things that we had Merrill minutes for. Is that not what we do?
Yep. General Manager.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, at the risk of having sat in that chair over there and potentially not paid as much attention as I needed to, I do recall one. It's a matter of how it's brought to the chamber. It can be through report or through Merrill minute, but I'm happy to take on notice to have a look at that in the past term. It's not something I'm familiar with to answer here now.
Thank you. I remember it quite clearly. I thought it was the way that we actually did the process. That I remember very clearly last term, the Mayor bringing a few things to council to get the support of council, so then when we went to the federal members and ministers, it had more weight. So I appreciate you brought this to our attention, Mayor Watton, because I feel like it makes the community know that we're there for them and asking the questions that they want us to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jerd. Councillor Harrington.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm not sure why we're discussing what happened in the past or what conversations you've had with federal ministers and state ministers. I would just like to thank you for raising this issue and through the 2 Merrill minutes. I think that it's great to have a formalised process and show that we take the concerns of our people in LGA very seriously. Regional communities in New South Wales have been experiencing, and like Buckingham, black spots, and it does affect their day-to-day life. And I just say that well done taking this action, and I really think we all should support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrington. So we'll put this forward for a vote. All in favour? Before we go for a vote, I'm sorry, Councillor Madden, you're not being digitally included right now. So, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. Is it too late to add a point 5? Is to for our residents the council rights to each of the big players, Vodafone, Optus, and Telstra, do a coverage map of the whole LGA. And then we can put that out on the council website, so all our residents in the LGA. I know personally, Kersley, the residents there suffer badly, and if we have a coverage map and then the council puts it on their website, as all our residents can pick and choose what might be the best option for them.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Madden. I think if interpreting correctly, so adding that dot point, adding more information on the website or options, I'd probably consider that to be a separate matter that may be able to be raised by if not via communication with the federal members to see, and get in line with their communication with the community. I'd just consider it a separate matter in my. Yeah. So just with regards to that council matter, because I do still think it's a great idea that you propose. So I think sending through to council@cessnock.newsouthwales.gov.au, that should be that should sort that one out.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions? Well, I've got you off mute. No. Councillor Pascoe.
I just wanted to let you know there is actually a website called mobilecoverageaustralia.com, and you can literally put in 2325s and it'll tell you where you are and who covers your area. It's all there. So if we wanted to, we could just add a link to the website if people were, or you can just look it up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Councillor Pascoe. Might, go through a separate process, might be a quick fix for council. All right, we'll put any other further debate? No further debate, we'll put it all forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to items to be discussed. So we've got report PE 23/2025, the review of council's, beg your pardon, motions of urgency. Sorry, is there any motions of urgency to be tabled? Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the following motion of urgency. Concerning the draft amendments to Cessnock Development Control Plan Chapter D8 events, that Council resolved to 1. Extend the period of public exhibition for a further 28 days to close at 4 p.m. on the 24th of September 2025, and 2. Consider a further report from Council staff after the exhibition period is complete in respect to feedback received during the exhibition period before the proposed amendments are adopted. By way of background, at ordinary council meeting dated the 18th of June, agenda item PE 16.
Councillor Mason, just with regards to urgency, we'll go to point 1. General Manager, will just get you to maybe speak to that, just about what if we need to go through a motion of urgency. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mason. Noting that we're offering to extend for 28 days and then a further report doesn't. It won't be a motion of urgency in our recommendation to the Mayor, but I'm happy to undertake to extend that period of public notification for a further 28 days, and we'll notify councillors when that's taken effect in public notices with a memo.
Okay, so just based on that advice, Councillor Mason, you happy to withdraw the motion of urgency? Yes?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Mason. Okay, now moving on to items to be discussed. So, officers' report. So, PE 23/2025. It's the review of council's compliance and enforcement policy. Can I have someone to move that? Councillor Grine, seconded Councillor Hill. Speaking, Councillor Jerd.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just got a quick question because I just quickly read over the answers because I had a list of questions for this report. Number 4, council strives to protect and promote public health, and how do we do this and why, right? And the answer was basically about food premises. Is it only like food premises that we have any say with the public health? That makes sense.
Someone put that through to the Manager of Regulatory Services.
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Jerd. It's not just food premises. There are a whole range of public health issues that are dealt with through the compliance unit. That was just probably one of the major examples. It was easy to give to make it easy to understand. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. I might touch base with you a bit more to get a bit more information later on. Just might help me understand it a bit more. Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay. Any other further questions or debate? No further debate. We'll put the matter forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. Moving on to report CC 48/2025, the property management policy review. Someone moving, Councillor Hill, seconded Councillor Grine. Speaking, Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. I might just take this opportunity to raise the point that I think the councillor's microphone in the Zoom call might be muted. I'm just unsure whether or not Councillor Madden can hear us councillors talking. You want to give us a wave, Chris, if you can hear me talking? Okay, never mind. I just got worried that maybe he couldn't hear us. No worries. Thank you. Sorry about that. I would like to just make a small amendment to the recommendation as written in the council papers to include an additional dot point. That additional dot point, so the number 1 will read the same as the current recommendation, that council adopts the revised property management policy 2025, and the additional dot point will state that council notes that a lease or licence decision can be brought before the council for determination by resolution.
Okay. So have someone to second. Second is happy with that amendment? Okay. Would you like to speak further?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Watton. Raising this additional dot point here in the amendment just for some clarity on the public record to help both any future councillors looking back at this policy or this decision and for the community at a wider range. There's been some recent actions within council undertaking a review of our leasing and licensing agreements, and I, when reviewing this policy, wanted to make sure that council laws had a mechanism to perhaps call a licence decision up to council as a last resort if there was complications or council laws in a majority believed that the licence decision may need to be made by the elected body. After doing some back and forward talking to staff about the current policy, I was made aware of the fact that under current delegations, council laws have the ability to undertake this, as per the dot point number 2 states, via a resolution of council. So council laws would be able to bring a notice of motion to council requesting that a particular licence decision be brought before the council for determination. In my reviewing of the policy, my belief is that this mechanism would be only need to be used in the most rare of circumstances, and from historical undertakings, council staff have been a majority successful at coming to new agreements and new leases with community groups or individuals for council property, but just wanted to make this clear and have ensure that we had this ability in the policy and in our current delegations, that if necessary, council laws bringing a resolution to council could eventuate in a determination being made. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question on that. I do like the idea very much that Councillor Hill was suggesting. I just want to sort of confirm, I suppose, that that is a legal option for us. You know, say we go 2 years into a lease and then we decide to call it up. Are we legally allowed to do that? There's no issues there?
That through to Director.
Thank you, Councillor King. I think in the circumstances that Councillor Hill is referring to would be before a lease or a licence was entered into. Council as an elected body making a decision halfway through a lease or a licence would be subject to whatever the lease or licence agreements actually said. So that could be a little bit problematic, as it is within the other lease or licence agreement. The bit that Councillor Hill is referring to is prior to a lease or licence being entered into.
So we won't be disrupting anyone's business by sort of interfering midway through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Harrington.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Watton. I just have a question for Councillor Hill regarding that dot point. I understand that when it's a DA, councillors have the opportunity to pull it before or make it heard before council, the determination. There has to be at least 3 councillors who agree or apply for that to happen. Would the same situation happen in this case?
Councillor Hill.
I'm happy to answer under my understanding, but the director can correct me if I'm wrong. But from my discussions with staff in the lead up to this council meeting, it was explained to me that the mechanism that allows councillors to make this call up for a licence agreement falls within the General Manager's delegation, and so it states that it's a resolution of council that can bring a licence agreement to the elected body, and a resolution of council requires a simple majority of councillors. So if it was a resolution brought as a notice of motion, it would be a majority of councillors present at that meeting that would be required. The other mechanism about a DA call-up is not the same in this instance as that.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Harrington. Councillor Hill, you saved the director some legwork there. Any further discussion? No further debate. We'll put it forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. Moving on to report CC 49/2025, the adoption of the Disability Inclusion Action Plan through 25 through to 29. Can I have someone to move that report? Councillor Lee, second Councillor Harrington. Speaking, Councillor Harrington. Sorry, Councillor Harrington. I feel I do that to you all the time. Do you want to speak as a mover? You reserve your right. Okay, Councillor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. Look, I just want to commend the outstanding work of our team here on Council preparing this disability inclusion plan. This plan on reading is more than a document. It's a reflection of our values as a community. It demonstrates our commitment to ensuring that every resident, regardless of ability, has equal opportunity to participate, to contribute, and to feel truly included in the life of our city. I just wanted to note that the process behind this plan has been thorough, thoughtful, and deeply consultative. The team has obviously been engaged heavily with the people with a disability, carers, service providers, and community groups to ensure that voices most affected are not just heard, but they are embedded in the priorities and the actions of this plan. And that is genuine engagement, and it sets a strong example of how council should work with our community. So once again, I just want to sincerely thank the team for their dedication and professionalism and passion, and I am definitely supporting the adoption of this plan.
Thank you, Councillor Harrington. Completely just want to echo your sentiments from my perspective. It's one thing that running in the campaign last year was something I was very passionate about, making sure there was a community-led disability inclusion action plan, and the passion of staff, and as you mentioned, the professionalism and the aptitude to pull this report together. It's a lot of work in that's being done there, but you can tell there's a lot of passion behind that work. So again, from my perspective, I just want to join you in thanking staff. A very, very good report and great action plans. So is there any further discussion on that? No further discussion. Put it forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. And moving on to report CC 50/2025. It's the carry forwards and revotes for 25-26. Someone to move that report. Councillor Lee, second Councillor Hill. You'd like to speak, Councillor Lee? Councillor Hill, a seconder? No? Anyone like to speak to the report? No debate. We'll put it forward for a vote. All in favour? It's unanimous. CC 51/2025 is next, which is the Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference 2025. It's attendance, voting, delegates and motions. Could I please have someone to move that? We've got Councillor Hill and second Councillor Grine speaking to the report. Councillor Hill, or would you like to move? Okay. Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. I'd like to move a recommendation, and I'll include the amendments to propose some attendees for dot point 2 here on the screen. Dot point 1 remains as is. We just note that Mayor Watton, Councillors Palmowski, Hawkins, Hill and Lee have expressed interest in attending the Local Government New South Wales Conference 2025. Dot point 2 would then read that Council supports attendance at the Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference 2025 of Mayor Watton, Councillors Palmowski, Hill and Lee, with Councillor Hawkins as an alternate attendee.
Okay, someone to
And
second.
That's
sorry,
fine. And
Councillor.
dot point 3 as well. Sorry, I
Yep.
have to do. That council determines that Mayor Watton and councillors Palmowski, Hill and Lee each exercise one of the 4 voting entitlements of the Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference 2025. I think I've got the logistics of that sorted out okay. Excellent.
Some commentary from the director.
Yep, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just as the General Manager just pointed out, as you've got Councillor Hawkins as an alternate delegate,
Yep.
you should also have him as an alternate delegate
Excellent.
for the voting
100%.
as well.
Can do. Yep. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just take a moment to.
Yeah, does Councillor Hawkins? Yep. Yep, very good.
Alternate delegate.
And just, if I could, do I need someone to second that? I have a question
Sure.
of staff.
Yep, seconding Councillor Grine.
Do we need to include anything in this section of this motion in relation to the dot point from your mayoral minute in relation to our motion that we're moving, or is that fine? Very good.
I was just going to ask a quick question on that, just a point of clarity. What is the actual dead last cut-off time for a motion? Do you want to take it on? Take that on notice.
I will look it up and let you know.
Okay. Well, while the director's looking that up, we'll just take a moment to just make sure all the wording's okay. We're all happy with that. Just before we put it forward for a vote, so Councillor Harrington speaking.
Sorry, Mayor Watton, I was just filling in time while the director was looking up that information. Just for an example, I know we have 4 voting rights, our Cessnock City Council. If for, say, financial reasons, we decided, hey, we're going to reduce our budget on professional development, and don't get me wrong, I think professional development is very important for councillors, but say we were to cut that back and we decided to send 2 councillors, they would each have 2 votes each. So we would still have the same representation when it came to voting on all the motions. We would just save ourselves half the money. Sorry, no, that's
I'm just thinking, from my mind, I'm definitely going to put myself out there to be corrected, but I think 1 delegate, 1 vote. Is that what you're referring to? So if we send 2, you get 4 votes, so they get double.
I thought I read somewhere that council can decide how many votes a delegate can use.
Okay.
So we could send 1 person who could vote 4 votes.
We'll get some expert advice on that.
Just
So
a
while we've got
question.
Director of Corporate and Community over here looking at this, I'll hand this over to the General Manager.
Thank you. Yeah, there are 4 votes allocated. So, and as part of the resolution, as Councillor Hill, you can allocate 1 each, or 2 or 4, or you could, if you wanted to, 1 with 1 and 1 with 3. It's a matter of the council's determination as how those votes are allocated. As long as you only have 4, that would be accepted by the conference.
Mm-hmm. Because I have never attended one of these conferences, so I'm just interested to know, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the General Manager, what are the specific benefits for our community is a result as an investment in 4 councillors going to this conference?
Well, I can speak to that from my own perspective, Councillor Harrington, and I can definitely pass it over for different advice from the executive team here. But what I've found from these events is, one thing I do appreciate is networking with other mayors and councillors from other LGAs. Mm-hmm. It's one thing that I found a huge benefit, because sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already there, existing somewhere else. So that's one matter. PD, you mentioned PD is a big thing there. So professional development, from my standing, there is a lot of information that gets sometimes flooded while you're on these conferences. Networking is probably the biggest thing that I appreciate, but bringing back, and also we want to be there to be a voice in the room. So if there's major things that are impacting LGAs across New South Wales, I'd like to make sure that we do have a strong voice there that's advocating for our LGA on that state level. So that's my perspective. Is there any other?
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm glad you answered that, because I'm just thinking of the community out there who look and think, is it a junket? And I'm not saying that it is. I have never attended one, so I'm glad to hear that there are benefits for our community on sending the representatives.
That's a fair question. No, thank you, Councillor Harrington. Okay, so I've got the director that's hurriedly researched some information. So thank you, Director.
Thank you. The date that we're requested to have the submissions in by is the 30th of September. So we'll make that in quite easily, and they can have late ones up until the 26th of October, but they do like them early for the Board of LG New South Wales to consider the motion, because it's got to meet certain criteria, as in it affects all councils across the state and the like. And going on also in relation to the second part of your question about what you get out of it beyond what the Mayor has said, is also this is the industry's peak body conference, and part of the election process is the election of board members. So I suppose having councillors there with voting rights allows Cessnock Council to have their vote or an input into who's going to make up the board for LG New South Wales.
Okay, Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Just thinking about the wording of that point 3 there, I just wonder if that should read, the council determines that Mayor Watton, councillors Pomolsky, Hill and Lee each exercise one of the 4 voting entitlements with Councillor Hawkins as an alternate delegate.
Yes, that's
one of the 4 voting entitlements with Councillor Hawkins as an alternate for the local government. Yes, that's good. Yeah, happy with that.
Yeah, alternative voting delegate.
As an alternate voting delegate, yes.
Okay, so we'll just take that moment just to make sure everyone's happy with that wording. Happy with that, Councillor Mason?
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pascoe?
Thanks. I just have another quick question, because I just jumped onto the local government New South Wales conference website to see with the motion dates and things like that. And for voting deadlines, it says that we would need to submit a board nomination if any of you wanted to be on the board. Is that something that we have to do? How does that work? Because it says board election, from the 30th of September, opening date to nominate as a candidate in the board election.
I believe that's what Councillor Pascoe, what Director was touching on before, but just to finish that point, over to the Director.
Thank you. There's 2 parts to this, Councillor Pascoe. So the submissions for council motions was what I was referring to. There are board elections that will be held as part of this conference. They have a rolling roster of members on and off. Whether a councillor wishes to be considered as a board member, that is up to them to decide, and whether they want to submit a nomination for a board member. It's not necessarily a council decision.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I just wondered how you actually get on the board. So from the 30th, if any of those 4 or 5 people wanted to be on the board, they would need to jump online and do it themselves. Is that right? Cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Pascoe and Director. Councillor Jerd.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. Now that Councillor Harrington, brought it up, we're reading Hawkins as I say, Harrington, brought it up about the voting. Would it save council money if we only sent 1? Yeah, that's an obvious question. Then it would. But that money that we save from that, would we be able to use it on anything else? Or does it sit there and it has to be used only for, sending councillors to certain things?
I'll pass that over to the Director.
Thank you, Mayor Watton. So, Councillor Jerd, there is a certain amount of money that's allocated in the operational budget towards Councillor PDP, personal development, including conferences and that and the like. Certainly, if Council wish to reallocate some of that money elsewhere, that can be done as part of the quarterly budget review process. But it sits within the bailiwick of that vote entitlement for council professional development seminar conference attendance.
So if we decided we could use, say, some of that money on a road project.
If you wish to reallocate it as part of the quarterly budget review process, yes.
Okay.
So it would be what council resolves to accept the quarterly budget review with a change of X number of dollars out of this vote into that vote. But you'd have to specify the amount and where it was going to go.
Yeah, okay. So knowing that, is there a way, I want to maybe do an alternate motion to say we only send one and be it the mayor?
So you're proposing alternative motion?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, an amendment? Okay, so just need to...
Because I mean, our budget at the moment, we've all been looking at it, and we've got a lot of roads that have been flood damaged, so it wouldn't be a bad thing to save a little bit of money to go spend it on something that really needs to happen.
Director.
Thank you, Councillor Jerd. Yes, that's up to you if you wish to move that as an amendment.
Yep.
You would need to specify what the amendment is. So obviously, point 1 would be similar. Point 2 would be that council appoints one councillor, being whatever, and the same as point 3. So you just have to amend that as you would so wish,
So
and then you would have to have a seconder, and then it would go to a vote.
Yep, okay. So council notes that Mayor Wotton...
So one is exactly the same?
Yeah, well, it would take away the other council. So it notes that Mayor Wotton... oh no, that's still got to stay the same, hasn't it? Yeah, sorry. That council supports attendance to the local government annual conference 2025 of Mayor Wotton. That determines that Mayor Wotton... so number 3 would be that council determines that Mayor Wotton... my God, exercise all 4 votes, entitlements, yeah.
Okay, so before we proceed, I'll just make sure we've got the full understanding of that. So do we have a seconder for that, Councillor King? So we've got some debates. Councillor Jerd, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yes, thank you. So the reason I've put it forward with Councillor Harrington bringing up about that we can use the mayor to do all 4 votes, and the fact that we've been talking about our budget lately, and the fact that we've been talking about rate rises and all these things and all the flooding that's happening with the roads around here, it makes to me no sense why we should send 4 when we could send 1 and still activate all our votes. That's why. It's nothing against anybody else. It's just about money saving and being able to use that money for what I think a better cause. To use what's it all for? It's $12,000. Okay, $12,000 could do a fair bit on a road compared to sending people to this. So that's why.
Okay. Councillor Madden, you got a question or?
No, yeah, just more of a comment. As a councillor last year that was lucky enough to go to the last year 2024's local government conference as an alternate. I think it was Councillor Savell withdrew at last minute. I think we're really penny pinching here. I know we're looking for cost-saving initiatives, but as far as councillor development goes, I think this is a very good conference that gives the opportunity for councillors to attend, network, and see what other councillors do outside of our Hunter joint operation area. So I just think, look, for the money we would save here, we're lucky to fix half a dozen potholes, to be honest.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Madden. Councillor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor Watson. goodness me, I was just filling in time when I brought that up. I did not expect this outcome. Look, I'm going to speak against, sorry, Councillor Jerd, because, I just think that I understand our financial position. We would like to save money where we can, but I think, like Councillor Madden said, we're talking about pennies here in terms of road maintenance. And if you have to weigh up, I guess, the professional development, the community is investing in councillors to serve them for the next or the rest of this term. I think that probably that money is better than a bit of tar and sand thrown in a pothole that's going to be out the next day or two. So I'm sorry that, I'm not sorry I brought that up. It's opened up a good, I guess, discussion. But my questions about it was because I hadn't attended. I kind of wanted to see the room to let me know what the benefits were. I can see the benefits of sending delegates. And of course, we save money by sending one and have the same voting right. But I think it's important that that knowledge and experience, because it's very hard to learn from a councillor comes back from somewhere and gives you a report. It's very hard to condense into a report if the Mayor went on his own what was achieved and done at the meeting. So no, I sorry, but I'm going to support the original motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrington. Councillor Dixon.
Can I just ask, how many conferences is there per year? Because this is our second one so far, I think, this term.
Well, we've got the Local Government New South Wales conference each year. ALGA annual. Yep. So 2 major ones.
So only 2.
So one, federal, Australia-wide, and then
okay. Because I was just thinking on the lines of maybe the mayor and one other person, and we could just have turns of going who's available. But if there's only 2, that sort of doesn't give everyone a go, does it?
I mean, there are other informal conferences that do come up from time to time, and there's a plethora of PD options available to all councillors. It's not just the conferences that are a PD option. Speaking of that professional development there, but there are numerous options to, increase your learning as a councillor.
Because I can see the importance of a councillor going as well as the mayor, but I do think it's overkill sending, like, cost-wise 4, 5 people. I know it's not a lot of money, but every little bit makes a lot of money. So if we can cut here and there, you'd be surprising how soon it all adds up to bigger dollars. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, could I perhaps foreshadow an amendment that removes the need to send an alternate delegate? But I still would like to stress that 4 is probably important, because it is very important for our representation to be held, and the more people and the more points of view we can get along to that conference, the more things people can pick up and learn. It's surprising how common the issues in local government are. They're not unique to us. We're not out there alone fighting these good fights. You can actually learn quite a few things that other councils have done to overcome problems that they've found. So I think it's important that we go, but if we're talking this need for cost saving, then I'll happily not go as an alternate. I guess it just puts the pressure on the 4 that are going to make sure that they're at the conference. So if that'll appease everybody, I think I'll foreshadow that once we've voted on this amendment.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hawkins. So any further debate on, just to clarify, we are discussing the amendment that has been moved by Councillor Jerd, seconded by Councillor King. Any further discussion? Or I'll put that forward for a vote. All in favour? Councillor Dixon, Jerd, King. Those against? Councillor Grind, Harrington, Hill, Lee, Mason, Palmowski, Pascoe, Hawkins, Madden and Watton. So the amendment's been lost. So moving to foreshadowed motion. Speaking, Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the foreshadowed motion is exactly the same as the original, only removing reference to myself or any alternate voting delegate. No, the 1 of 4 remains. Simply any reference to an alternate delegate.
Just a moment, just having a bit of a sidebar moment. Just one moment.
Yeah.
Would you like to? Okay, I'll just get some commentary from the General Manager on this particular debate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Hawkins, if in the event that we've got 4 votes, which we do, in the event that I'm happy to acknowledge the council make the decision as to whether you're on alternate, if one of the other councillors are unable to attend, I'm assuming that the mayor pick up, so the council allocates that in the absence of 1 or 2, that the mayor gets 2 or 3 voting rights to ensure that Cessnock Council maintains its 4 votes at the conference.
If you're asking me that question in my motion, could I allocate my alternate voting delegate right to Councillor Hill?
It's a matter for the council. It's a matter for the council.
Look, I'm fine if it has to read like that, that in the event of non-attendance, that the mayor will have 2 votes. However, if the mayor is the non-attendance, that Councillor Hill would have the 2 votes. Any other reason somebody should have 2 votes that we could possibly think of?
Don't want to bury ourselves too much in semantics.
You really? Apologies to the minute taker.
Okay. So just to make sure that we've got that wording correct, you're happy to proceed and have a seconder? Councillor Hawkins. So just adding in if the mayor's absent. Do we keep this this feels like this can go on.
Deputy Mayor. The Deputy Mayor would have the...
And if the Deputy Mayor's... Yeah. I can guarantee you rain, hail or shine. I was sick of the Canberra one. I still went. I guarantee I'll make it to Penrith. Wherever the thing is. It's on record. Okay, so moving forward, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Grine. Do we want to list off the rest of the councillors? Okay, so we have a seconder. That's Chris, Councillor Madden.
I'd just like to speak against this foreshadow motion. Look, we've really complicated a simple process for professional development. And what happens if the 2 councillors don't go and it's not the mayor or deputy mayor? We can go on all night with this. We're just, honestly, we're wasting everyone's time. That's my thoughts. Go back to the original motion.
Okay, we're going to put the amendment forward for a vote now. All in favour? Councillor Dixon, Grine, Harrington, Hill, Jerd, Lee, Palmalski, Pascoe, Hawkins, Watton. Those against? Councillor King, Mason and Madden. The motion's carried. Oh, sorry, but yep. Now the foreshadow motion has now become the motion. Put it forward for a vote. All in favour? Councillor Grine, Harrington, Dixon, Hill, Jerd, Lee, Mason, Palmalski, Pascoe, Hawkins and Watson. Those against? Councillor King and Madden. Motion's carried. Thank you all for your participation in that. Now, moving on to reports as it was taken out of Englobo. Report WI8/2025, the request for sponsorship and fee waiving with the Australian Postie Bike Grand Prix. Can I have someone to move that? Councillor Hill, seconded. Councillor Harrington. Mover of the motion, you're not looking to speak. Councillor Jerd, speaking.
I've just got a quick question, Mayor Watton. With the talk of the DA being out at the moment for events, right? In this says that it's about a $600 fee to council that we're going to waive. Would that change? Say that DA events thing comes back, gets accepted. Would it change the fee price for the Postie bikes?
I believe no, but just to get the clarity from the professional in the room, the subject expert, the general manager.
Events has become much more complicated than it needed to. No, so the Postie bikes dealt with through separate legislation, so Closure of Roads and Roads Act, and can be dealt with using the State Environmental Planning Policy exempt and complying development as an exempt event, and that would continue forward. So the fees are the licence fees that council charges in relation to road and road closures and those components. And we'll deal with the events when that comes back to council. I'll answer questions then.
Yeah, okay. no drama. I just wanted to double check because, you know, we've had so many, that was actually a question someone put on Facebook and I thought, oh, these are good questions, so I'll ask it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jerd and General Manager. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be voting against this motion tonight for the sponsorship and fee waiver for the Postie Bike Grand Prix, not because I think this event is unworthy, but because of the financial hardships that people of the Cessnock LGA are suffering. Cost of living is increasing every day. Power prices increased 1st of July. Land rates have increased. And there is also talk of a special rate variation in 26-27. How can council justify waiving fees for some and then expecting others to pay more to cover the cost? I understand that it is expensive to stage an event, especially with the red tape requirements. As a council, we need to look into cost cutting, and in my opinion, fee waiving should be the first thing to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Councillor Hawkins.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, just briefly, this is a fantastic event to showcase our city, and what came out of a good idea over a few beers, I guess, has grown into something that showcases our whole city, and everybody that gets involved is all enthusiastic. I just want to ask, and it's been asked of me, the rotundas in the TAFE Park, they're all blocked off. Is there a plan to make sure that that area is as attractive as possible when these events come around? I know there's the Stomp Festival as well, is very shortly. Do we have a plan for that?
We'll put that through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you, Councillor Hawkins. As I guess councillors in the community are aware, one of those rotunda was subject to substantial fire damage with vandalism. The second rotunda has been subject to vandalism that has created an issue in relation to its structural stability. Knowing that events are coming, we've undertaken to remove the rotunda. That work should be concluded by the end of this week and the fencing removed. We'll then continue to work with TAFE, who are the owners of the land, and we have care and control of management as to what the future proposals might be in relation to that space. But for those events, that will be a cleared, available area for those events.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins and General Manager. Councillor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm going to speak in support of this recommendation, and I do agree with Councillor Dixon that people are struggling at the moment, but this event has become a real highlight on our local calendar. It draws visitors from across the region and interstate, and it not only showcases the unique character of our community, but it also delivers real economic benefits for local businesses. So let's not lose sight of the money that it does bring in. And let's also the social benefits to those attending. It's a free event, so a family can go out to the day for a free event, take a picnic, enjoy themselves. So, yeah, I will be supporting this recommendation because I believe the cost of sponsorship and fees are small compared to the economic return it brings to our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrington. Just want to put my perspective in there quickly on this too. I can definitely appreciate, again, where you come from, Councillor Dixon, and from my perspective, the local businesses really get a lot out of these events, not just hospitality based, but all businesses in the area. And if I put my business cap on, I'll talk about cost benefit ratios and the benefit that comes about, whatever we can do to help events like this occur in our LGA on an ongoing basis. I do believe that it is worth every cent and then more. That's not taking away your comments though, Councillor Dixon. Definitely can appreciate where you're coming from. Holistically though, across the LGA, I do believe it does greatly benefit. It is, to Councillor Hawkins' point, it is a mainstay of the Cessnock LGA, and it's grown to something special. And I think it's actually the envy of other LGAs. I know there's other LGAs that would like to even poach from us or duplicate, but I think there's only one. There's only one Cessnock Grand Prix, and it's right here in our CBD. So I just wanted to put my thoughts in there too. Is there any further discussion or debate? No further debate. Put the matter forward for a vote. All in favour? Councillor Grine, Harrington, Hill, Jerd, King, Lee, Mason, Palmowski, Pascoe, Hawkins, Madden and Watton. Those against? Councillor Dixon. Okay, thank you. So now we're moving on to business of which written notice has been given. So BN 11/2025. It's the proposal to remove the shared zone and install temporary foot crossings on Charlton Street in Cessnock. Someone to move that? Speaking to the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. With the Director's commentary, the alternate motion is actually more what I was trying to achieve. So has Council got the alternate motion up there? So I can read it if you haven't got it.
So we're just going to add that from the report onto the live screen we've got now.
Yeah. Because that was more what I was trying to achieve.
Would you like to speak to it further to clarify your position?
You want me to read that out as
Okay.
well?
Just sorry, before you go, we can...
Read that bit out? Okay, so one, that the General Manager investigate options to remove the shared zone at the Cooper and Charlton Street intersection and reinstate marked foot crossings to enhance pedestrian safety in the area. And two, that councillors be provided a briefing on the draft CBD public domain plan and how it proposes to address the pedestrian safety concerns before going on public expedition.
Okay, so we'll just wait for that wording to be updated. Or waiting, can I have someone to second that? Councillor King?
Should I keep speaking?
Speak to it, yep.
Okay.
Thank you,
So
Councillor Jerd.
I've had a lot of residents reach out to me about this intersection, and many who don't know where the shared zone is, which makes this intersection dangerous. I've had residents that have fallen due to the pavers. I've had residents that have been nearly run over when a Ford went through the Billard, and if they didn't run, they would have been hit. And countless residents that have almost been hit because cars are failing to give way in the shared zone. That is why I have my nom tonight, because I went to Singleton last month and they have pavers that just have zebra crossings on it, and it worked better than the shared zone we have in Cooper and Charlton Street. Councillors previously told me they can't do zebra crossing on pavers, but since speaking to Council about Singleton, I found that it's actually have to decommission the shared zone first. I asked Council staff and the Traffic Committee about getting rid of the shared zone and doing zebra crossings for now, which led to a whole conversation that this intersection was never meant to be like that and was changed a lot at the Council meeting. The report I was wanting is not last year's information about the intersection. It was about the original year that it came to Council, where they ripped up the tar and paved it with the shared zone. Staff said it was a question for the Director, so after the July Council meeting, I spoke to Paul. I told him about above and said I want to make this area safer. I don't want to waste money on ripping up the pavers, even though I want them gone, but an interim fix until the CBD plan is finished, as this shared zone is dangerous and no one stops in Charlton Street. I asked him for the information about that council meeting, where the dot originated from, so I could read what staff meant about changes to the report of the original design. Paul said he would give me the information and look into decommissioning the shared zone and keep me up to date. I asked should I do it as a nom or email. He said an email, so I sent the email and I've waited. With no update, I decided to follow procedure and put it in as a notice of motion about the matter. The alternate motion is more what I was trying to ask for, but because I didn't know what the cost would be, that's why I originally wrote it as investigate. So conclusion, I want to make the area safer while we wait for the CBD plan, take out the shared zones and add the zebra line paintings on Charlton Street, one to Coles away from the roundabout intersection a bit more so it's a bit safer, and one over at Woolworths where it originally was, for it to be clear until we have the funding to fix it completely. Also, I want to make sure that the speed zone stays low, because I know that is one of the issues about taking out the shared zone, that it might change the speed. So that's another thing. Make sure it stays low speed.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Jerd. Just to confirm, that's the wording that you're after in terms of the report, the director's commentary.
Do I need to put in my conclusion how I said one zebra crossing over towards Coles and one over to Woolworths, does that need to be written in there to be a bit more clear?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so no.
So otherwise we'll get into the area.
I think that covers what I need.
Yeah. We'll sit here and work out the entire plan here tonight, which we're not qualified to do.
So, well, we could.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that.
But it's just clear. It's just pretty simple. I just want to try and make that area a bit safer, because the amount of people that, think that Cooper Street is the shared zone when it's not, it's Charlton.
Yep, definitely noted. Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mel Watton. Just had possibly a few questions about the current intersection treatment and the issues that arise out of it, I guess. Perhaps a question to the Acting Director of Works and Infrastructure. Do we currently experience like a regular cost to council for remediation of issues in that location? I understand from the previous report there were details about failures within the current pavers. Is that something that council is still having to address periodically down there at that location?
Acting Director.
Through you, Mayor Watton. Thank you, Councillor Hill. Yes, we do still incur costs at that area. We do have to replace pavers from time to time based on inspection.
I wouldn't want to put you on the spot too much, and happy to take for you to take it on notice if you don't have the numbers in front of you. Is there any information about what those costs are, say across the last financial year or so?
I would need to take that on notice.
That's okay, not a problem. I think that the intention here to have a solution in this intersection is definitely something that council should be moving towards doing, and I think that the notice of motion and the alternate motion put forward in the director's commentary goes away to achieve that. My thoughts on this current situation is whether or not council should be having another look at the previous report that was brought to the elected council last year in July. I understand that it lapsed at the council meeting that it was brought to, and it has not had any action taken on it. And that report itself included a number of additional actions, as well as what Councillor Jerd is looking to have done there in her notice of motion, including addressing the issues with the pavers there in that location. I note that we are looking to increase safety, and we are trying to await the update and the delivery to council of the CBD master plan that is being re-looked at. But my concern is that master plan update will take some time, and when that master plan comes back to council, it will take significant time again for council to be successful perhaps in achieving funding to implement that master plan. And in all that time, even if pedestrian safety was increased in this area by putting crossings and removing the shared zone, we would still be, for all that time, dealing with what is an inadequate, I think, intersection with the treatment of the pavers that are currently failing reasonably often that council has to address. So I would be happy to, perhaps a foreshadowed a motion to be brought if this resolution fails, for the report from last year to be brought to council at the next council meeting to be considered by councillors. I think I included some writing in terms of what that foreshadowed motion might be, just to give people an idea. It's only quite short. So that would be what my foreshadowed motion would stand at if this motion put forward by Councillor Jerd were to fail. So that would just be that the past report, WI 13/2024, be brought to the next meeting of council for consideration in addressing safety concerns at the intersection of Cooper and Charlton Streets. I did email councillors earlier in the week just to bring to their attention the existence of this report. I know some of the newer councillors may or may not have been aware of it. It's still available online on council's website under the agenda for the June council meeting in 2024. But I think it would be of benefit to this term of council for the elected body to review and perhaps make a decision on that report that that was lapsed in the last term of council.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hill. So we've got a foreshadow motion there on the screen. Councillor Harrington.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Watton. I thank you, Councillor Hill, for sending through a link to the report that was at that June meeting. I wasn't on council, but I actually was in the gallery for that meeting, and it was probably, I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before at a council meeting where a motion just laid flat. And that, as a resident, I thought, well, obviously there was no one sitting in chamber who was prepared to support that. So I do question the validity of bringing that back to council next meeting. One, because it wasn't supported, but admittedly we have a different body of councillors now, but we don't have the money, even if we decided to adopt that plan, because we've allocated our budget as already, unless we want to take from other areas, but I may stand corrected, I'm not sure, and nor the time to, as you mentioned, the procedure of going out and adopting that is going to take a very long time, because the shared zone, as Councillor Jerd mentioned, in its current form, is not working as it was intended. Instead of creating a safer place for pedestrians and vehicles to coexist, residents and visitors are constantly reporting confusion, near misses, and a genuine sense of danger. Vehicles are travelling too fast in its current state for a shared zone, and the absence of a clear pedestrian priority has left both the drivers and the walkers uncertain of who has a right of way, which I can see being alleviated by a designated crossing area in Charlton. And as you mentioned with the redesign, we know that that whole intersection does need a makeover, but this is probably a quick fix and solution in the meantime until we get our CBD development plan finalised and presented to council, and then we can look at a long-term solution in making that intersection a safer place for pedestrians and drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrington. Just note, Councillor Jones, you've got your button pressed, but if you speak, that'll end debates. Yeah.
If we were to bring back that report that Councillor Hill's asking about, I just got a question. Would it work to do one way in Charlton Street with the Wallenby Road traffic that's now happening, two with all the changes that are happening with the Leagues Club and that traffic, and then three, also, how will the Woolworths trucks actually be able to enter to deliver the stock? Because I think that's why it never went off the ground, was because of the one way. Would council actually
well, I would
be able to address those issues?
Can I take it on notes? I'll put it over to the General Manager.
Yeah.
I'd have to take that on notice, but in terms of those options, that will be something that the director and the team will consider, and as part of any future briefing, we can address those.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor King.
I just want to follow on from Councillor Harrington there, and I fail to see the value behind the foreshadowed motion, as we already know that council is currently planning to make this as part of the CBD plan in the future. I think what Councillor Jerd is suggesting here is to make that safer for the pedestrians in the meantime until that actually comes to fruition. And I think this is a very cost-effective way to do it. So kind of makes that foreshadowed motion mute to bring back all of the old things that no one wanted to vote on last time. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Jerd, would you like to wrap up debate? Councillor Jerd.
Thank you. So I would love nothing more than to rip up those pavers. I think every council staff member would probably agree with me because of the cost of having to fix it, putting the tar down, and all those things associated with the pavers, with people tripping on them. I know countless people that have gone to council about it. At the moment, we're in a moment of, we've already set the budget. We don't have a lot of money to rip it up. I think it was about 100,000. 500 was it? Okay, I remember we allocated 100,000 for it originally. But anyway, just say it's a 500,000. We haven't got $500,000 to do exactly what I want. I just want to make it a bit safer for the pedestrians as it is, because all I can see is near misses daily. I'm down there quite a lot, walking it myself, and the amount of cars that do not stop in Cooper Street, in Charlton Street, but stop in Cooper, has just made it so confusing. And the fact that we have events here all the time with getting people from out of the area, it's not very clear. So I want to make it a bit clearer, a bit safer, until we can look at the CBD plan and actually fix the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jerd. Just before we put it, I just want to emphasise it has been touched on about the CBD master plan. Just want to notify, as we're on record in the public, that staff are working feverishly towards, hopefully we'll have that at some point next year, but there's major flood studies going on across the whole CBD. So it's quite a holistic plan. There's a lot of work and a lot of man hours going into it. So I just want to notify that safety is preeminent, but we need, it was touched on before, Wollongby Road, Cessnock Leagues Club, all these major developments coming. We need to make sure that we've got a master plan that works moving into the future. So now we'll put the matter forward for a vote. All in favour? Councillor Dixon, Harrington, Jerd, King, Lee, Mason, Palmolsky, Pascoe, Watson and Madden. Those against? Councillor Grine, Hill and Hawkins. Motion's carried. Okay, now moving on to councillor reports. Is there any councillor reports? No councillor reports. I'll just give a brief rundown. If you want more information, happy to give more information. I'll pick some highlights. The VRA, New South Wales, Cessnock and Karikari, the formal launch of their heavy vehicle was fantastic. Amazing community effort to raise those funds to get that happening. Manview High was special to go to with their student leader induction. Big shout out to those students. They're working so hard. Great school, great teaching faculty there. I'm enjoying getting to know the other mayors in the LGA. LGA and surrounding LGAs, particularly with our neighbouring councils. So Mayor Penfold he shares a lot of the same concerns as we do with growing LGA, so it's been great to get along and have discussions with him. I won't go look. They're all there if anyone wants to ask any questions about it. I can talk all night about these, but I won't because everyone wants to go home. But I do want to mention just the Hunter Correctional Centre. They do a fantastic job. It's a unique model they've got going there, and it's therapeutic and it's really working. And I would just like to show my support officially in a council meeting for what they do. Everything comes up for review of funding, and that's the same with our correctional facilities and services. And what they actually offer to inmates is showing proven results with hard statistics. So I just really want to commend them at their work there and the model that they've developed. It's absolutely fantastic, and I would encourage any councillor to reach out to Hunter Corrections, to reach out to the Governor, which I also like to say the Governor, and he's Governor Wayne Bywater at the moment. Reach out to him. I would encourage you to reach out and go for a tour if you haven't been through. It's one of our largest employers in the area too, so it's always good to be across what's happening in the LGA. Again, there's a lot there, but if you'd like any further information, please let me know, and also for the members of the community too, if you'd like to just contact the office. Councillor Hill.
sorry, perhaps for some clarity, did you want us to follow up with any questions outside the meeting, or are we able to ask a question of you now on something that's on the
I guess you can.
screen? I just have a query about the School Leaders Morning Tea and Youth Engagement Forum. I understand there'd been some correspondence that you've had back and forth with staff in the last few months about getting something like that off the ground. Was that a publicly advertised event, or were other councillors informed about this event being on? I did a quick search of my calendar and my email and I couldn't find anything about it, but is that something that's going to be happening often, that other councillors will have an opportunity to engage with as well?
Yeah, I probably would like to get a staff member to comment about how it was advertised. I know it was slotted in my diary, and it was an excellent event. I definitely would have loved for councillors to actually be involved, so probably need to take that on us to make sure moving forward. It was definitely the first one of its kind with the youth forum going onto the back of the youth, the morning tea.
Yep.
That was a fantastic day, and I definitely think it would be great for all councillors to be involved. And just to echo my standpoint with that, we want an inclusive council, all councillors to be involved with everything, wherever possible. So yes, we'll definitely make note of that for sure.
Excellent, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? All right, we'll declare the meeting closed. It's 8:01. Thank you, everyone.